And we're live. What's going on, Ohio Cannabis Report community? It's your boy Gerald Moore Jr. and the Ohio Cannabis Report tapping in. Um, just for disclaimer purposes, this is for entertainment, educational purposes only. I am not a doctor. I am not a lawyer. So none of this is, um, or a journalist for that matter. You know what I mean? So none of this information that you see on here, don't try to use it and be like, oh, well, Gerald Moore from the Ohio Cannabis Report told us. I'm just a normal person creating content online. You know what I mean? But I do want to come to y'all because, obviously, again, every day there's a lot going on. Every week there's a lot going on in the cannabis community in Ohio, nationally, globally. And we just try to bring you a little bit of that information from time to time. Our goal is to build community. Our goal is to create awareness and to advocate for those who are unseen, unheard, and overlooked. We are not a part of the Ohio Cannabis Coalition, OCAN, which a lot of people have been hearing about. We are not connected to any of these legal licensed cannabis dispensaries or cultivators or processors in the state of Ohio. We are independent. We are an independent media platform that is not associated with these greedy, I don't know what to call them, but y'all can call them something in the chat. But we just not a part of that. I'm rolling up real quick just to get started, but I gotta get I gotta get my greens in. But make sure y'all like the chat. Let us know where you're tapping in from. Make sure you comment. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because I am trying to bring you guys as much information as possible. Like I said, I do this out the kindness of my heart. I don't get paid for this. We've done a couple events. We're going to do more events. But again, we're not getting paid to do this. So all of the likes, all of the shares, the subs, the comments definitely helps us to continue to keep going. You know what I mean? And I'm always inspired. I'm always motivated and encouraged by different people that come on and connect with us via social media, the internet. I would love to connect with more people in person, but I am a full-time dad typically. You know what I mean? So today is one of my off days where I'm not watching children, and so that's why you kind of get me when you get me on these platforms. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we are going to share some recent information and things that are coming down. Again, there's been a lot of movement, as always, in the cannabis space. One of the things I will bring up is they just had an event called Ignited that was in Cincinnati. And this was brought up by a few different people. But my guy, Rodney Hash, and I'm gonna bring up Rodney's page so he could tell y'all what's been going on. But one of the leaders in the Ohio cannabis space, Andy Rayburn. Andy Rayburn is the CEO of Buckeye Relief, and the CEO of Amplified, which is the dispensary. And they had this industry elite meetup, right? Where they basically talk about the industry, everything they have going on. And Andy Rayburn basically told people that if you see hemp dispensaries or hemp shops, selling product, call the cops. Basically telling people to snitch on other people, which I think is diabolical, right? But again, this is how they move.
Not only are you just hearing it now, but you guys heard it from me months ago. There was breaking news. You guys heard it here first, folks. Not only are you just hearing it now, but you guys heard it from me months ago. There was talks of Andy Rayburn at OCAN meetings saying that they not only wanted to make hemp shops illegal, but fund the prosecution thereof. Well, guess what? There's a lawsuit against a bunch of these hemp shops coming from specifically Standard Wellness, Buckeye Relief, Beyond Hello, Shangri-La, all suing a whole bunch of vape shops, CBD producers, hemp producers. Shit, dude, they're going as far as suing UPS, Shopify, FedEx, and they're trying to sue the testing labs, saying that the testing labs are making it look like it's legal product when it's not legal product, And then they're quoting SB 56, something that they all lobbied to get passed into law to make their competition illegal. This is insanity. Breaking news, you guys.
But again, it's important for the people on the ground, to do the work. I know a lot of people in the cannabis space, this is still new territory, right? Being legal, coming above ground, not being on the illicit market, the legacy market. But one thing that we have to do as a community, if you're in cannabis, is you have to come above ground. You have to use your voice. You have to use these platforms, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Reddit. It's not good enough to just be behind the scenes and be like, well, I got my weed, I'm okay. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'm seeing a lot of. I'm seeing a lot of people that as long as they have their weed, as long as they have their home grow or their legacy connect, they don't necessarily care about the community and advancing the whole community. And I've seen a lot of it. I mean, it's been in my comments on all different platforms. I've had people be like, well, why don't people just, well, I'm going to just keep consuming how I've been consuming. I'm just keep going to Michigan. Not everybody has the same opportunities as you. And I need people to really grasp that and understand that. Like, not everybody owns a home where they can smoke inside or smoke in their backyard or smoke in their garage. Not everybody has, gas prices are at $5. I just filled up at Costco. It was, what was it? $4.65, at Costco's. But again, most of the, gas stations are $4.89, $4.99. Some are at $5. So going up to Michigan for everybody is not as economical as some may seem. Yes, if you're in Cuyahoga County, Cleveland area, you might be a little bit closer, but I'm in Central Ohio. You think about the time, like that's a trap, like it's what, 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. If you're bottom of the state, that's going to take a minute, right? And so we have, like, why would we keep doing that when we have a state that is legal? We should be pushing for our state to fully decriminalize. We should be pushing for our state to, one, listen to the voters. We shouldn't be talking about, well, I'm gonna just go up to Michigan. One, you're giving Michigan tax dollars, and then don't complain about, football and Ohio State and Michigan. Like, you're literally giving the state up north, Michigan, that the politicians are afraid to talk about, money. You know what I mean? Like, when we could be using those tax dollars right here in our own state, right? We could be making our industry a lot better. Obviously, Michigan has an older industry, right? They've been around, longer. So again, we have to do the work, you know what I mean? And we can't just keep leaning on other people to do the work. I can't do all the work. I can't follow all of the industry things. I can't follow what's going on in Cleveland, what's going on in Columbus, what's going on in Cincinnati, until I get some money and I'm able to hire some people that can be reporters in all these different places. So we all have to collectively come together and do the work. People that are, legacy growers. If you getting some bread, why don't you put bread towards people who are actually doing some of this work, some of this policy work? We have organizations. I have a nonprofit that I would love some more funding for that would allow me to do a lot more work. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot easier to do this work when you got a little bit more funding behind you. But again, it's hard for us to get funding because, again, most people are still against cannabis, right? A lot of people are still against, a lot of people still have the stigma and the mindset that cannabis is illegal, that it's bad, that it just makes people lazy, that our kids are getting into it and it's making our kids lazy and it's making our kids dumb. It's making society dumb. No, the alcohol is making people dumb, right? The alcohol is fucking people up. The pharmaceutical industry is fucking people up. These corporate industries, right? Like, we have to understand this. Farmers, where are our farmers at? Right? Cannabis is an agricultural crop. We have to just stop looking at it as something that, oh, we just smoke weed. Like, no, cannabis and hemp is an agricultural crop. Why are we allowing them to just grow cannabis indoors? Right? We should be growing cannabis outdoors as well, because think about sustainability, you think about environmental issues, you think about all the different issues that cannabis can help with, and we isolate it to just smoking it, consuming it for our personal gain. But it's so much bigger than that. And so again, when you have these CEOs and executives that are trying to, one, just monopolize the market, because it's still a cash intensive business. It's still obviously federally illegal. So, they don't get the tax breaks that you would get in a traditional business. We still have a lot of work to do. And so I think it's important, that again, if you guys support this channel, I'm willing to go head to head, toe to toe with these CEOs and executives. I am not afraid. You know what I mean? Like, these are human beings with just a little bit of cash, right? They got a little money. They got enough money to hire lobbyists and politicians and, take people out to lunch and dinner and have their little executive conferences and things like that. But again, cannabis is for the people. It's not for the elite. It never has been just for the elite class. And so people that are working class and poor have to learn how to fight against the elite class, right? Stop fighting against people who are just as poor as you, or maybe just got a little bit more than you, or maybe a little bit less, and fight against the people who are holding us down collectively, right? If you're not middle class, if you're not a part of the 1%, you should be trying to fight the 1%. You should be trying to overthrow the 1% because they're the ones that have the time, the money, the infrastructure to be able to pay people off, to have workers do the work for them, right? A lot of these people have people doing the dirty work for them, so they don't even have to be seen, right? A lot of these executives and CEOs, they don't want to be seen. They don't want you to know who they are typically. And that's why we use this platform to call them out, because they need to be seen, right? We need to know who are the people voting for SB 56, right? And we've put all that stuff on blast on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen us, we've been around for a little bit doing this work. It's not like we just popped up out of nowhere. I've been doing this work for about 6 years in the midst of recovering from my family dealing with a stillbirth, in the midst of, COVID and all that. You know what I mean? We've been showing up. And so it's time for more people to continue to show up, like my guy Rodney Hash, right? And there's a handful of us that have connected via social media, Instagram, Facebook, that have been calling this stuff out. But imagine if, we had 57%, over 2 million people vote for issue 2. Imagine if we had a quarter of those people using their platforms, using their voice to speak out against these, the OCANs, the Buckeye Reliefs, the Amplifies, the Standard Wellnesses, the AYRs, the Trulies, the Crescos. Again, the Attorney General came out and said they are operating as if they are a cartel, right? And we just gonna allow it to happen. You know what I mean? I see people on Reddit all day just sharing their weed, sharing everything, and it's like, stop supporting these people. You have to stop. Right? Support your legacy growers, support your friends, grow your own, right? We have to create cooperatives where we can teach other people how to grow, how to process, how to make edibles. Because again, if we can do it on our own, we don't need them. And right now they think we need them and we don't. And so I think it's important that we continue to advocate for one another, that we continue to support one another, and we stop, everybody trying to compete with each other, right? And that's one of the biggest things I see is so many people are just, oh, I got the best weed. I got blah, 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 blah. It's like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if everybody's being oppressed or held down by, a handful of people. So I do want to show you guys this. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. What happened to my... There are some lawsuits going on right now that we are aware of from some of the dispensaries or some of the hemp shops. There have been some courts that have put a pause on SB 56 in terms of hemp shops not being able to sell their products. I know Franklin County has 2. What was the other one? And there was one more. Let me see. All right. So SB 56 hemp ban lawsuits are heating up. Published just hours ago, Happy Harvest and Great Right Lounge filed a lawsuit in Franklin County Court of Common Pleas after SB 56 took effect on March 20th, after Ohioans for Cannabis Choice failed to gather enough signatures to put the referendum on the November ballot. Here's where it gets interesting. Franklin County Court of Common Pleas Judge Jeffrey M. Brown issued a 14-day TRO on April 22nd, allowing Happy Harvest locations and Great Right Lounge to sell their existing inventory. But the 10th District Court of Appeals stepped in to pump the brakes. The attorney for the plaintiffs, Scott Pullins, didn't mince words. He said, quote, "This bill completely put my clients out of business. There were no ways to get rid of the inventory except to destroy it," end quote. And that quote comes from Ohio Capital Journal. In the state, they fired back by arguing that the only way to legally sell marijuana in Ohio starting November 12th is through a license from the Ohio Division of Cannabis Control. And the only way to get that license is to let SB 56 stay in effect. Another quote from Ohio Capital Journal. This is a battle for survival for small business owners versus the state's licensed dispensary framework. We'll be watching the Franklin County hearing closely. Sandusky County TRO, a judge called SB 56 discriminatory. Now let's rewind slightly because this backstory is critical context. Sandusky County Common Pleas Court Judge Jeremiah Ray granted a TRO on March 24th that prevents the Fremont Police Department from enforcing SB 56 statewide ban on intoxicating hemp. And that judge did not hold back. He called the law inherently discriminatory on its face, saying Ohio's new law forces state residents who want to purchase federally legal hemp products to fund the state's cannabis industry, which otherwise engaged in federally prohibitive activities. The judge's words, not mine. He wrote that, quote, "All but the favored licensed dispensaries with a physical in-state presence face ongoing harm by losing sales that cannot likely be recovered later, end quote. That comes from Cannabis Times. And there's more. Cycling Frogs attorney also filed a motion asking the judge to certify a class action which could potentially block SB 56 from being enforced statewide. That's the next domino to watch. Cannabis Business Times. Social equity got cut. Let's keep saying it. We have to talk about it, right? Social equity. And again, a lot of people just think social equity affects Black people, African Americans. It doesn't. It affects poor and working class white folks as well. You look at Appalachia, you look at a lot of our poor towns and cities. These people are going to be affected as well. It's not just poor working class Black folks that are lazy, don't want a job, or folks think are criminal. Like, no, this affects everybody in the state. Lawmakers shuffled where marijuana tax money goes, eliminating the social equity fund created by voters and sending most revenue to the state's general fund. This comes from Axios. Y'all, voters passed issue 2 in 2023 with a social equity and justice fund built in. The Cannabis Social Equity and Jobs Program was repealed by SB 56. That's not a glitch. That's a choice. Ohio legislature. Cities like Cleveland, where dispensaries are located, still get 36% of tax revenue, but the equity piece is gone. We need to be clear every single time we report on this. The communities that were most harmed by the war on drugs, prohibition, were promised a piece of this industry. SB 56 took that promise off the table, period. Federal bombshell. DOJ reschedules medical cannabis to Schedule 3. Now, this is federal news you need to know about. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk lately. On April 23rd, 2026, the U.S. Department of Justice issued a final order reclassifying state legal medical cannabis along with cannabis included in the FDA-approved drug product to Schedule 3. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube. If you're following us on Instagram, make sure you like, comment. Also share this out, right? This helps us, the algorithm. We don't ask for money. We don't ask for all of that stuff. Money would be nice. Donations would be nice. Support my nonprofit, Green Environmental Outreach. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, veteran owned, and we support cannabis freedoms in the state of Ohio and beyond. But make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to help us in the algorithm. Obviously, we are a cannabis page, so we are constantly being blacklisted. We are constantly being shut down. Follow all of our Instagram pages too. We have two, Ohio_Cannabis_report. And then our original page is at Ohio Cannabis Report. We have over 2.5 thousand followers on our original Instagram page, which I struggle to get back into on Instagram on my phone. I can get to it through Meta and connect through there. But I do have access to the Ohio_Cannabis_report Instagram, where we've been building that back up. We just hit about 750 followers on there. So thank you to all of our followers, all of our supporters, people that share, like, comment, and support the work that we're doing. Again, I'm not a journalist. I'm married to one, but I don't do it for that. Again, I don't own a cannabis business. This is my cannabis ancillary business, the media space. So we do content and stuff like that. We do events, consulting, but nothing too crazy. So please help us out on that end. Let me spark this up real quick. It's a little GMO. Smoke break. And I know a lot of y'all are scared to be judged, criticized by business owners. I don't give a fuck. If you see my shit, I play football. There's so many people that'll judge you, that'll talk about you, and can't do half the shit you do. And oftentimes we worry about the wrong shit, right? You gotta stop worrying about people who not in your lane. And guess what? Ain't nobody in your lane if you stay in your own lane. If you create your own lane. And that's what we did here with Ohio Cannabis Report. Created our own lane. All right, back to the news. For now, all other cannabis adult use stays Schedule 1. But this is still a historic shift. The federal government just acknowledged officially that medical cannabis has accepted medical value. A new DEA administrative hearing is set to begin on June 29, 2026, during which the DEA will evaluate testimony and evidence regarding the broader transfer of marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. After that, an administrative law judge issues findings and the DEA administrator issues a final rule. But also you got to understand, like, who's going to be in the driver's seat for that? You have companies like Trulieve, right, who will be in the driver's seat for, Schedule 3, right? We need it completely descheduled. Scheduling of cannabis is not a good thing for us, right? We need to deschedule cannabis completely. We need to decriminalize it completely. We need to free anybody who has non-violent cannabis offenses, low-level cannabis offenses, who haven't, harmed people, who haven't murdered people, or have people set up and shit like that, right? But we need to completely free the plant. And so we are, I know I'm not happy until that happens, right? Until social equity, until people are able to, freely grow the plant, freely consume the plant, and grow the plant and benefit from the economics of, cannabis legalization. What does this mean for Ohio operators? Rescheduling would automatically remove the 280E tax burden, potentially improving cash flow by up to 30% by allowing deductions for payroll, rent, and marketing. So again, it tells you that a lot of these companies, right now, it's all cash. So they can't necessarily use the tax benefits, marketing, rent. They can't write that stuff off on their taxes, which again will only help some of these elite cannabis business owners who are, obviously pouring tons of cash into the business. Private equity funds, things like that. Shout out to Medicaid Ohio for that quote right there. That's money that could go back into communities, even though we know they're not really putting money back into the community like that, because again, 36% of the tax revenue is going back to the general revenue fund, back into their employees, back into equity, which we know these elite business owners do not give a damn about social equity. And we'll see. Ohio cannabis market hits $1 billion, but price is still too high for everyday people. Again, somebody did an analysis that basically said it's still cheaper to go to Michigan to purchase weed, even with the inflated gas prices, right? Than purchase it in the state. The numbers are there. Ohio crossed a major milestone, more than $1 billion in combined medical and adult use cannabis sales, with adult use accounting for the majority of the growth in 2025. But here's the tension. By December 2025, Ohio posted over $100 million in monthly sales, with unit sales up significantly year over year, while average items price declined. A typical sign of the market entering a competitive phase. Excuse me. Still, Ohio remains expensive in the eyes of many consumers, particularly compared to nearby Michigan, with high effective prices, limited promotions, and restrictive marketing channels, dampening enthusiasm. A billion-dollar industry that everyday Ohioans still can't fully afford to participate in. That's the story inside the story. What SB 56 means on the ground, quick hits for the community. So real quick, let's make sure the community knows the rules as they stand right now. Recreational consumers can purchase up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis flower per day. Concentrates are now capped at 70% THC, down from 90%. Cross-border cannabis is explicitly illegal, right? So again, I'm not telling you to do nothing illegal, but we know y'all gonna do whatever y'all want to do. Y'all are grown-ass adults, right? Again, people will say, well, it was already illegal. Okay. People do illegal shit every day, right? It's not illegal if you don't get caught, basically, right? So again, it's still federally illegal because cannabis is still only scheduled at a Schedule 3. But again, you're transferring cannabis between two states. So a lot of these states that are legal aren't going to waste the money, the tax dollars, the court costs, the police costs to, arrest folks or, fine folks for this type of stuff, right? Because it's a losing battle. You're losing money, right? It makes no sense. So you're transferring cannabis between two states. If you go up to Michigan and purchase cannabis, it's cheaper for most people. They're going 3-4 people on a trip, buying a bunch of weed, bringing it back across state lines. So again, that's illegal technically, right? But again, you're transferring cannabis between two states. Again, in Ohio, now it's illegal. How the police will determine if you have legally purchased cannabis from Michigan or Ohio, I don't know. In Ohio, you have to put the weed in the trunk, has to be in an original packaging. Can't smoke it in your car, can't smoke it outside. Those are a part of SB 56 now. So yeah, Michigan branded packaging are now considered contraband in Ohio. Leave it in Michigan, all right? Or bring it to me. It's like home delivery is currently permitted for medical patients only. I don't think that's right. The DCC is still finalizing rules. There is no recreational delivery provision in Ohio right now, per Bloom Marijuana. And the Social Equity Fund is gone. SB 56 eliminates the Cannabis Social Equity and Jobs Fund and program that was part of voter-approved measure for issue 2. So yeah, again, let me know what you guys think about that. There's a lot of movement clearly going on in the state. Send me your comments, send me your thoughts. If you have any, make sure you hit me up in the chat. Make sure you guys, if you have any insider tips or information that you want me to share, Ohio Cannabis Report at gmail.com is the email. Again, you can hit me up in DMs on Facebook, on Instagram. Also, make sure you guys follow our Substack. I've been building out our Substack for the last couple months. So our Substack is definitely growing and doing well. I think we have about 15 followers on our Substack right now, which again, it's slow and steady builds the race is always my motto. I also wanted to show you guys this from, let's see. Oh, look what just popped up on my page as I'm talking to you guys. I am going to start my my Patreon. We do have a Patreon, but I haven't been posting a lot on there. So we're going to start doing some more paid and subscription type work because I've been giving y'all a lot of free content for a while now. But it would help to get some more support financially to help this off. Again, follow us on Instagram at Columbus or Ohio Cannabis Report, Ohio Cannabis Report Facebook, Ohio_cannabis report on Instagram as well. And I'm going to share my screen with you all really quick so you can see this story that just popped up on our Facebook. So look, OCAN just posted this 2 minutes ago. Warren County Prosecutor Dave Fornshell said the employees were selling drugs to teens from behind the counter. Complaints from parents and school leaders in Warren County sparked the investigation. So again, it should be on the business owners, right? Like, we do not condone selling cannabis to underage, people, right? 21 and up is what we want, right? So here's OCAN's page. And look, they don't post often, right? So look, they posted today, and then they posted May 4th. This was their Ignited event. And just look at who's, just look. They're showing you. All right. So you got Trent Wolvek, Chief Strategy Director for Juicy. You got David Gockham, Ohio Commercial Officer, Ascend Wellness Holdings. Caroline Henry, Vice President, Government Affairs, Buckeye Relief. So she's just a lobbyist for Buckeye Relief. You have Tom Herron, who was the big leader and the big vocal person out in front of regulate marijuana like alcohol. And now he's on the side of SB 56. I wonder how that works. Who's paying his bills? So you got partner and chair, Cannabis Law Practice Group, Franz Ward. So again, law firm. But look at these people. Like, do any of them look like they smoke weed or participate in the cannabis industry? No, they don't. They look like a bunch of fucking chads, man. And we can't keep allowing these losers to control the market. And look at this. These are all the people that were there. Look, alcoholic beverage in hand, bunch of chads. The director, this dude. But, these are the so-called leaders of the cannabis industry in Ohio. You got this group. Hard to really see. You got Fireland Scientific CEO, Standard Wellness. So again, real pasty in there. A lot of culture. Then you have Adrian Robbins, who's the deputy executive director of OCAN, who was literally a lobbyist and literally a news anchor a few years ago. How cities and counties shape cannabis in Ohio. Then you have the mayor of a village of Winterville. Then you have, Clutch Cannabis CEO, founder, who's also being sued by LeBron James's talent agency, Clutch Sports Group, for copyright and trademark infringement. You got Ascension Biomedical and Rome Dispensary. Then you got Jared Maloof, co-founder and CEO of Standard Wellness. And you got Andrew Rayburn, president and CEO of Buckeye Relief. This is the guy that basically said that you should call the police on the hemp shops. It's probably when he's saying it right there. That's Rayburn and that's Maloof. Again, a bunch of people that look like they know absolutely nothing about cannabis. Can't even iron their little sheet for their table. Look how dry their table is. What the fuck are you gonna do with some pencils and some coasters? Just think about that. They're giving away pens and coasters at a cannabis event and some chapstick with their marketing and advertising on it. And then this is their one of their directors. Look, no weed in sight. Like, what type of BS do they got going on? That shit just look terrible. Like, they don't even look like they're fun to be around. Here's a email address too. So if you're unhappy with the cannabis industry and how they're operating, go ahead and email Sophia Gentile at ohiomcia.com. Again, we need to start holding these people accountable and stop being so afraid. There's so many people afraid of these business owners, these politicians. It's 2026. What do you have to be afraid of? Oh, I'm not going to get a job. Oh my God, they're going to. All right, so this article was posted April 29th. Like, just look at how, like, if they're supposed to be an educational nonprofit and platform, they're definitely not using social media wisely, right? April 29th, May 4th. What's today? May 7th. You know what I mean? Like, they're not educating. There's no education. Like, this event wasn't even live streamed, so nobody knows what was going on, what was said. And joining SB 56 would upend the status quo and create chaos through the state. No, it wouldn't. All this so companies can sell what is functionally untested and unregulated marijuana products. The state licensed are testing products and failing products, and they're microwaving mids. All right, they're selling mids. Like, if you're a true cannabis consumer, they are selling high-priced mids, bro. Like, come on. Shout out to Mary Jane Borden. Let's see what the comments say. So you got well said. Tim Johnson, follow the truth about child public safety. You are on the wrong path. According to organizations such as the National Institute of Health, NIH, and the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, NIAAA, by engaging in consistent ongoing communication about the dangers of drugs and alcohol, parents can have a significant influence on the decisions their teens make. And again, they keep saying children. They're talking about teenagers. They're talking about 18, 19-year-olds. They're talking about 17. Like, this, think about it. When you were in high school, right? We were all in high school at one point, right? What, you get to high school at 14, right? If you spend 4 years in high school, by the time you graduate high school, you'll be 18, right? These are young adults. These are young people, right? We know tons of people get a hold of their parents' alcohol, their parents' prescription pills. So again, as parents, we have to educate our children first and foremost. It's not up to a government entity. It's not up to OCAN. It's not up to these cannabis businesses, right? America is a capitalistic society. They will try to profit off of every little thing they can, off of every individual. So it's up to the parents, one, to have honest dialogue and conversation with your children. If you are taking cannabis for prescription or medical reasons, or even just recreational purposes, you should be having these conversations with your children. The problem is so many people are trying to hide what they're doing. You'll have a booze in front of the kids at a ball game. The moms will have wine in their little, I forget what these are called. My wife got too many of these, right? You'll be at the ball game, the moms are sipping, you'll be at a barbecue, you'll be at a cookout, you'll be at the Ohio State game, you'll be at the Cleveland Browns games, the Cincinnati Reds, the Cleveland Gladiators, you'll be at all these games. Columbus Crew, you'll be out on a date, you'll be out at the restaurant, beer in hand, multiple. I mean, I'm a grown-ass man. I'm 36. I know that's like I'm not a child. I've been around the block quite a few times. No problem being a little tipsy, drunk, leaving the bar out in public. Everybody could see you, right? Hammered at the game. You done had 5 too many Bud Lights. Now you got the executive suite where you can go get the hard liquor. So you done had 1 too many old fashions. The wives is having 1 too many red wines. Stumbling out of the game. No problem. But weed, oh my God. Weed and alcohol stinks too. They be like, oh, like we don't like the smell of weed or marijuana. Bitch, have you ever walked past a bar? You know how fucking stink them bars be smelling? You go to any downtown, it don't matter how good you clean that motherfucker. It stinks. I went to OU. I go to the bars now in OU and I'm like, yo, this shit fucking reeks. And it reeked back then. But guess what? You drunk, you fucked up. You don't give a fuck. Now that's I don't want to be around that shit. I'm sorry for my language. I get passionate, I get excited. You know what I mean? This is why we don't associate with these squares. Because we do our own thing over here. All right. Make sure you like, comment, follow, subscribe. Show us some love on the chat. Hit me up too. Ain't none of y'all hit me up. Usually y'all hit me up in the chat. I don't see nobody in the chat. Oh, there we go. We got one person. Facts. I'm from Cincinnati and vape prices are crazy. Yeah, man. Like they fucking batting niggas over motherfuckers over their head with these prices. And it's insanity. It makes absolutely no sense. Hold on, I need to go get some see if I can get a video for y'all real quick while I go. My nose leaking. Boot boot boot. Ooh. I hope y'all having a good day too, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Also, let me know in the comment. Let me know in the chat what's your favorite type of strain. What you like to smoke? What are your favorite terpenes? All that good stuff. Where your favorite place to smoke? Who your favorite people to smoke with? If you could smoke with anybody, any celebrity, any human being, who would it be if you could smoke with? Let's say your top 5. My top 5 who I want to smoke with: Ricky Williams, Kevin Durant, Bob Marley, who else? Tupac. I need one more. My granddad. I want to smoke one with my granddad. My granddad used to grow weed. R.I.P. And that's also part of the reason I do it. You know what I mean? Like when I learned that my granddad was growing weed in the basement of the house that I was raised in, you know what I mean? Back in the early 90s. I'm like, I'm doing this for John Henry. You know what I mean? Shout out to my granddad, John Henry. It's too like I pull up Ohio Cannabis and it don't bring me no Ohio Cannabis besides me and Anthony. Ooh. See if I can get y'all some videos real quick. Besides my own, obviously. But we got some, let me see. Cause there's some content that I know y'all gotta go back into the catalog. Man, we got a whole library of content. We got a library of content. Let me show you. Let's see which one I want to show y'all first. Boop boop. Nah, that's not it. But we got to get involved politically. Got to get involved. English language. It's like we start talking about, oh, this is a cult. The executives are a cult. Like they literally were called the cartel. You know what I mean? So we gotta, really be mindful of the words that we use. The same thing with legacy market versus black market versus illicit market, right? I like to call it the legacy market, right? When we talk about black, we know they are referring to black people most times, right? It's like, oh, is everything ain't gotta be right? Well, it is for some people, right? So again, being mindful and cognizant of the black market, right? It is, we ain't calling it the white market, right? Why don't we talk about white collar crime as much, right? Because white people committing white collar crime most times, right? So we don't like to talk about it, but we'll love to talk about the black market, right? Or marijuana, right? Marijuana is referring to Mexicans, Hispanics, Latinos. So again, we have to be mindful of this conversation, especially when it's a nuanced and diverse conversations, even though a lot of us don't like, oh, DEI, like, no, we are a broad spectrum out here. So I think it's important when we talk about cannabis, when we talk about the cannabis community, when we talk about those impacted by prohibition the most, when we talk about communities that are being left behind while communities are making millions of dollars. You have folks working in these dispensaries, processing facilities, cultivators. You have executives making money hand over fist, right? And so I think it's important that we be mindful of the conversation and how we talk about specific groups, especially in the cannabis community, as we continue to evolve, right? Like this is still new landscape and new territory, right? Legalization, laws being created, businesses being formed. And so again, things are coming above ground. This is why the legacy folks, the people who have been here, have to come above ground. At some point, you have to say, I'm tired of being underground. I am going to wear the badge, the cloak of cannabis loudly and proudly. I don't give a fuck who has anything to do or say about it, right? As long as your shit ducks in a row, you're going to be good, right? Nobody telling you to be out here promoting your product. But even if you are, all right, I'm a caretaker, right? I've created a business. I've created merchandise, right? So, you just got to learn how to use the system because it is a system. And the system is working exactly how it was designed to work for those who design it. All right. So, again, I want to thank y'all for tuning in for another episode of the Ohio Cannabis Report. I didn't want to go too long today. I'm already at an hour, but I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Send an email to us at ohiocannabisreport@gmail.com. Show us some love. If you want to donate to what we're doing, you can donate to us directly via my Cash App. Again, my name is Gerald Moore Jr. I am the founder of Ohio Cannabis Report on all platforms. And so you can hit us up directly on Cash App. Or you can donate to our nonprofit, Green Environmental Outreach, which our website is geononprofit.org. I'll just take you out to our website real quick. So here's our nonprofit where you can support us. All you got to do is go to geononprofit.org, go to the donate button, and you can donate directly to our page there. Share this page. Oh, my bad. Y'all can't even see it. My bad. All right, so here's the nonprofit page. If you want to donate to us, we are official. Support GEO nonprofit, empowering communities, create change. Here's our website. So we're official. Again, Green Environmental Outreach. This is one of our board members, Dr. Craig, who actually is a hemp professor at the Central State. And so, again, we promote education, awareness, community service, all those things to really support our communities, especially our underserved communities. So again, those are different ways that you guys can donate and support to our cause. Again, at geononprofit.org, or you can hit us up directly, Cash App, G13 Ventures. I need to get a Ohio Cannabis Report Cash App. But again, appreciate you guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We're out.